Hello and welcome to the first episode of Have You Seen It? It's a movie review podcast where we're going to talk about one new release and then some older movies, some other movie topics. My name's Adam, and I'm joined here by Jared and Dan.
Hello.
Today we're going to talk about Furiosa, a Mad Max story. We're going to do a little bit of trivia, and then we're going to talk about some other movies and other things that we want to talk about, really. Super casual. So, I guess we'll do a little bit of intro since it's our first one. Nothing crazy here, but my name's Adam. I consider myself a movie buff, and my favorite movie is The Godfather. Jared?
Yes. I'm Jared, and I too consider myself a movie buff. If I had to pick a favorite movie, it'd be the movie Signs by Shyamalan.
Oh, that's a good poll. I like that.
It's the film that got me really into filmmaking. I feel like that and Lord of the Rings, of course. But Signs was like the first movie to really terrify me as a kid, and just going through that emotion and the way it was able to kind of build that was really effective. It was like, I want to do this.
That's a good choice.
My only exposure to the movie Signs is Scary Movie 3 when the hat continues to grow on the police officer.
It is a very spoofable movie, I will say that. That was a really, they did a good job of making fun of it.
Well, my name is Dan West. I would like to... I wish I was a movie buff, but I definitely am not a movie buff. But we all do video production. That's our connection to video. We all work together at a company called Blue Key Media that does video. So I do appreciate cinema. I wish I was more of a film critic. Maybe this podcast will turn me into one. But yeah, it's a little bit about... Oh, and my favorite movie, Inception.
Yes.
By Christopher Nolan.
Very nice. Actually, do you have your trivia written?
I do, yeah.
Why don't you do it? Because I forgot to, I got it on my notes. So why don't you
do,
we're going to jump right into trivia. So a reminder on how trivia is going to work is we're going to ask the questions. We're going to kind of think about it for a couple seconds, then you can think about it, and then we'll answer all of them at the end, right?
Yep. Yeah, we will not be revealing answers right away. You need to stick to the end to find out.
Yeah, exactly. So why don't you give us
yours? I'm gonna start with the first one. So my question for everybody is, which Furiosa actor doesn't have a driver's license?
I know this one.
You know this one? All right. Then I have a backup.
well, that's okay. That's okay.
Okay. Still do this. That was a fun fact I was going to bring up during our conversation.
Well, I think we might know just because we did a little research, but I think the audience might not know that. Okay, cool. That's good.
So write your answer down.
Write it down? Okay,
write it down, and then that way we'll come and revisit it at the end.
Okay. Okay, cool. We're going to go to the main review now. So just going to kind of go through a synopsis here a little bit. But Furiosa, Mad Max Saga. I think most people know, but Fury Road came out, I guess I don't know. Do you know?
9 years ago.
9 years ago.
2015.
That was kind of, the movie before this, but there were 3 other Mad Max movies that came out in the 80s and the 70s, even before Fury Road. So, it's a franchise that they kind of keep popping up every 10 years or so. Director George Miller, starring, so I believe her name is pronounced Anya Taylor-Joy. Most people pronounce it Anya. It's one of those names that I feel like they were in one movie and then somebody started pronouncing it one way and then everybody just did that.
That's how you say it.
Yeah, so I believe it's Anya Taylor-Joy. I don't know if I'll say that the whole time because I might forget. She is Furiosa, the main character, and then Chris Hemsworth is kind of the main antagonist, right? Dementus is his character, the production... so the budget for this film was $168 million, and I'm not the best at judging if that was a lot or a little. I felt like I looked up Dune, and Dune was more than this, which I think makes sense. 240 days of production, and then the earnings in the box office are only $160 million, so they haven't made back their money. It sounds like they're not doing well in the box office, which is interesting, but... That could I just think people aren't going to movies in the theaters anymore.
I think they've already canned, because George Miller, what I was reading, he has another movie that he wanted to do. And Warner Brothers has said no.
Really?
Yeah. They said, based on performance of this one, we're not doing any more Mad Max.
That's so crazy, because a movie like this, I feel like is a cult movie. Well, not really. It's a blockbuster, but like I feel like it has a following.
Does have like a cult following.
I think it has more of a following outside of a movie theater thing. To just say nah, like that seems crazy to me. But maybe the numbers are just way off. But
Yeah.
Anyway, so that's kind of that. The synopsis for anybody who doesn't know says, as the world fell, young Furiosa is snatched from the green place of many mothers and falls into the hands of a great biker horde led by the warlord Dementus. Sweeping through the wasteland, they come across the citadel presided over by the Immortan Joe. While the two tyrants war for dominance, Furiosa must survive many trials as she puts together the means to find her way home. Yeah, so that's like more complicated than the movie actually is, but that's what the synopsis says.
Yeah.
We're just gonna kind of do general thoughts here. Just quick. What'd you think? What'd you like? What you didn't like? Nothing too deep here. I can start. I guess a little bit of background. I saw Fury Road in the theater when it came out first time. Was blown away by it because I thought I had no expectations whatsoever, and just like all the stunts and the action just felt very different. I had not seen the prior 3 Mad Max films, so again, this was just like a first like experience in this world. It was weird in a good way, in a quirky way, which I appreciate. The action was great, so I really like Fury Road. So I was coming into this one thinking, well, it's probably not going to be as good as Fury Road, but I still am hoping to like it. Then I saw the trailer and I was like, I don't think this is going to be good. That was my honest thought after the trailer. Like I felt like Chris Hemsworth was like forefront of the trailer, and I was like, oh, it feels like Chris Hemsworth, and I'm going to be taken out of it because it's just like I'm just viewing him basically. That's what I thought. But I did end up really liking this film. It's a weird film because there's not much going on. It is just kind of an action film, but I feel like it does a little bit things differently that it elevates it a little bit. I really like getting into the mythology of this world. The best part of these films are this world is this apocalyptic world where there's kind of like, like little cities that people are just in. Like one has the bullets, one has the oil, one has the water, or whatever it is. So like that the mythology of this world is really what's interesting to me, and it's just weird.
Yeah, it's very weird.
It's very weird. The characters are weird, so I kind of appreciate that. It's not going to be for everybody, which is kind of what I like about it. It's a blockbuster that people are going to be like, that's weird. But like I feel like Dune does that too. Like Dune is kind of weird, but it's still kind of like a blockbuster that people are watching.
Okay, I don't know if you can equate Dune weirdness
so?
to Mad Max weirdness. Mad Max is like next level, just quirky with the costume design, with the
But Dune
is more traditional.
It's more traditional, but it's still weird in terms of like just what's going on, like what these characters.
You mean
are
riding a sand worm?
Yeah,
just a little bit.
Yeah, exactly. Or just like the guy, like the full white or silver like people in Dune. I don't remember the names of it anyway, but but anyway. So I do actually appreciate the weirdness. Like this one's got like the guy with like the nipple clamps on it. So ridiculous.
Yeah.
And that was Chris Hemsworth.
No, he didn't have nipple clamps. Or maybe he did
his
too.
Got ripped off. Don't you remember?
They did? No, apparently I forgot that in the last 2 weeks.
I'm trying to remember what it was, but essentially, like he had a nose ring, nipple piercings, and one other piercing, and they all got ripped off.
Really?
Yeah,
I don't remember that.
Yeah.
Anyway, so that's one thing I appreciate about. Oh yeah, and then you got like names like I don't know, Immortan Joe. That doesn't mean anything, but Scrotus and Rictus. You got names like that.
I wrote that note down as I was watching the movie. I was like, did they really just name characters?
That's their names.
Scrotus
and I really like the War Boys. I think that's an interesting concept. The other thing I really like is the motorcycle chariot.
Yes, dude.
I was just like watching that. I'm like, there's no way that would work. Right? But then I'm like, maybe it would work. I don't know.
I remember seeing
that too. How do you actually turn this thing?
Yeah. Just like no fear of just doing just weird stuff. Yeah. And I will say watching the first 3 for the first time, which I did after this, it's all through that too. Like the first one, not as much, but once two happen, it's just a bunch of weird characters and weird stuff happening. So that's just his style. So I like that. I do like Anya Taylor-Joy's performance. She kind of plays the same character that she always plays. It's just kind of like cold and like not very, just kind of like kind of badass and just cold and whatever.
Yeah.
I don't mind that, but I felt like I wish she had a little bit more to say and a little bit more to do. I mean, the first like third of this movie, she's not in it because it's a flashback, so it's just a kid. And then once she comes in, it's kind of like focus on like Chris Hemsworth, Dementis.
But the thing is she's mute. Like she's mute until her identity is revealed that she's a woman. And that's true. That's part of why she can't say anything. Yeah. She doesn't have a whole lot to say. And then there's that big reveal during the car scene or the semi truck chase where it's like, what's the character's name? The driver,
Praetorian Jack.
Praetorian Jack. When he that's the guy. Okay, never mind. I will say I haven't seen the full movie of Mad Max Fury Road, and so I forgot that he's who. What's the character?
He's not. Who's the actor in Fury Road?
Jack Hardy? No.
Tom Hardy.
Tom Hardy. He's not that character.
Oh, different character?
Different character.
Oh, okay.
But interesting. Oh, first of all, I should say we should try not to spoil things. We're going to spoil some things, but not the big things. So if there's any big moments,
I don't think I've spoiled anything.
No, you haven't. You haven't. But it's interesting. That character, that's not the same character.
Oh, it's not. Okay.
Tom Hardy is Max. He's Mad Max.
Oh.
But it is interesting because it's kind of like a similar character, and I feel like maybe they wanted like Tom Hardy to come back and do that, but he maybe did. This is just theory. Sure, I don't know if that's. But I was like, this is kind of like the same character, but I was just like, it was weird. I didn't love that character honestly, but anyway, what were you saying about it? Oh, because she's quiet, and then
right. But the reason behind it is she can't talk.
Right.
Yes.
Exactly.
But even after that, I feel like she didn't say anything. And again, I just don't think it's that type of movie. And Tom Hardy was basically mute that whole movie too. So it's just. But for me, I would like a little bit more character development on that. I did like Chris Hemsworth a lot.
Yeah,
that was my favorite part of the movie. Honestly, it was Chris Hemsworth and his performance.
I think he had the standout character.
And I think that's what a lot of people are saying, which is kind of a shame that
it's given
him.
the movie's Furiosa.
The movie's supposed to be like woman, main character, like badass, and then we're just talking about Chris Hemsworth.
Right. So I mean, to be honest, there wasn't a whole lot of complexity to Furiosa.
Right, that's what I'm saying.
And there wasn't a whole lot to root for. All she wanted was revenge.
Right. I mean, that's literally it. It's a revenge film, right?
Yeah. I did want that. I'm glad you brought that up because I did want to talk about the revenge film thing is kind of really overplayed at this point, and I'm kind of over it. Even Dune, although Dune was written way back when, so that doesn't quite count.
Dune started it all.
Yeah, but that's even that. I'm comparing those two a lot because they're kind of similar. But even I feel like Dune, and you guys might feel differently because I know you guys love Dune. I don't have any connection to those characters at all. Like Timothée Chalamet's character, I'm like, I don't care. I have more connection to her than him. Is my actual
fury?
What'd you say?
Do you have pent up fury? Is that why you relate?
What do you mean?
You want revenge?
To Furiosa.
Oh, yeah.
Did somebody murder your mom?
No. Oh, yeah, no. No, but anyway, the revenge thing is kind of I'm kind of bored with that. It's just let's come up with something else.
I think that's a hot take on Dune. I do not agree with.
See, I just he's another character that doesn't really say much, and when he does say much, there's no emotion behind what he's saying. I don't know. That's my
To be honest, now that I think about it, Dune 2 may be one of my favorite movies of all time.
Yeah. Wow. So, well, there you go.
Not Interstellar. Sorry, Interstellar is definitely up there.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. I wasn't super impressed with the movie. I thought it was it was very straightforward. It wasn't a whole lot of complexity. I'm just not into this whole genre of Mad Max and what it is. It's kind of crazy and weird, and the action feels impractical, and I don't know, for me, it wasn't doing it, and it was also a long movie. Like
it was pretty long.
It felt long. And pacing kind of was all over the place, but I don't know. I didn't like Mad Max Fury Road. I stopped watching like a third or maybe halfway through.
Finished it.
No, I've never finished it. I know.
Might be partly why you didn't like Furiosa.
Well, it's not that. Well, yeah. I think I would say I didn't like it more than I liked it.
Sure.
Like, it wasn't a bad movie,
Sure.
but it just wasn't for me.
So is it mainly just like how action driven it is, or is it?
I just didn't find it interesting. I don't know. I didn't find the story compelling, and I didn't find there was enough that was like drawing me in or intrigue to like make it interesting to watch. It was just like, okay, I'm just watching this like crazy chase, and everybody, it's like the same energy level from everyone. And,
it's definitely, you got to go into
much
it.
Complexity.
Yeah, understanding that it's pretty much just an action film, like more or less. Like I said, I think there are things that it's doing more over that, but yeah. Okay, that makes sense. Makes sense.
That's my hot take.
Yeah, it definitely isn't for everybody. That's for sure.
How do you feel about it, Jay?
So I'm like you. I was blown away by Fury Road. So when Fury Road came out, I saw the trailer and I'm like, this is gonna be really bad.
You thought the same thing?
Fury Road was gonna be bad.
Oh, you thought Fury Road was gonna be bad.
When Fury Road's trailer came out, I'm like, what is this? Because I hadn't seen the original movies. Like, this looks terrible. Saw the movie in the theater with friends, and it blew me away. Like, the editing, especially, like as an editor, was like the standout for me in the film, which is interesting. Like, everyone talks about the crazy action scenes, but what makes those scenes so effective is the editing, and just the amount of jump cuts in that movie that are so effective was like a huge standout for me. Just like, wow, like the way they were able to kind of like set the pace and just keep it insane, like the entire movie was amazing. Like, it was so cool to see in a theater.
Yeah, I feel like this one does that a little bit too. Like, I agree. Like, that movie was just like going from the beginning. It just kept
like
rolling
nonstop.
I do feel like this does that.
Yeah.
Do you feel like
it has a similar pace? I feel like the middle section of this movie slowed a little bit.
Yeah.
Until you kind of get to like the big truck chase, it's a little slow. And that, to me, part of it is like there wasn't as much music either, I feel like.
Oh, okay.
Like, they didn't use as much music. Even in the big truck chase, there was no music in the truck chase.
But the crazy thing is, it's so chaotic with sound design.
So chaotic.
Then.
Yeah.
And my favorite part of the film was the moment that, like, the Anya Taylor-Joy is like left alone. After this big chase, and like everything cuts out, and it's like silent for the first time in the whole film. But I didn't realize that there was no music,
like in that whole chase.
Yeah, but it was just so loud.
It is really loud. But I feel like that piece was missing just because that was such a big part of Fury Road. Is like the soundtrack, like played into that, like the chase scenes really well, and it felt off to me. I still like appreciate, like, it doesn't have to have music the entire time, right? Like, I appreciated how, like, the sound design, obviously, and it was really well done. But
the music in the original 3 is kind of crazy.
Is it?
It's like super. It's almost like horror movie level where like something's happening. And it's like, like, it's really crazy, which I kind of appreciate about it because it's just like, whatever, we're just going for it. And maybe that was just a style back then. But I remember thinking that, I was like, oh my god, the music is loud and in your face. But, okay.
But anyways, I enjoyed the movie. I enjoyed Furiosa a lot. I liked it less than Fury Road.
Yeah. Okay.
And again, I think it just comes down to, like, there were some story beats in this one that confused me a little bit, and it slowed down in the middle section of the film, I felt like.
Gotcha.
But
gotcha. I actually, I agree with you. I didn't love the ending. Like, I don't know. I felt like it fell a little short on that. Like, just what happens with the two, the two main characters, and then they really try to lead into Fury Road to the point where they're putting a montage of the full movie in the credits, and I'm like, I don't need that. Like, this can live on its own. I don't need it.
Don't need to see it again.
Which then kind of, because we talked about it's a different actress for the main role.
Yeah.
And if you call out like, oh, this is like days before Fury Road, then you're like, oh well.
Doesn't make sense.
I don't know. I guess they didn't.
Yeah, you're right, because the whole reason why they didn't use
Charlize
Stallone. What's her last name?
Theron.
So
Stallone.
Something that you're gonna realize, people who are listening, I am a horrible culture. Like I just don't know people's names, so you will be able to witness that. Charlize Theron.
There you go.
The reason why they didn't use her, from what I was reading, I know you'd said that it was like there was some drama going on or something.
Yeah, so actually I looked more into that, and there was drama with Fury Road and the director.
But, with the director?
Yeah,
well,
so
I heard
the
that.
director in the studio, there was some drama with like he didn't get paid what he was promised or something like that, and so there was some drama with that led into this.
Well, Hardy and Theron also like hated each other. I heard.
I've heard Tom Hardy is hard to work with.
Yeah.
I was watching an interview with like Shia LaBeouf. They did a movie called Lawless, and he was like, he just takes over the set. Like it's his set when you're on. And for like Charlize, she's probably also an actor that does that. So they probably were button heads a lot. I could see that.
So anyway, the director said that de-aging technology wouldn't be able to de-age Charlize enough to like, I guess, make what they wanted the character to look like, which doesn't make sense if like it led directly into Fury Road.
Yeah, I do think there is a passage of time without spoiling things that happens.
Yeah, you're right.
From the kind of scene prior.
Yeah, like kind of the climax to then that end scene. And I don't think they show her after that. I feel like they just show like the back of her arm. So sure, but as a viewer, you have no idea how much time is. I mean, I guess you know because there's a tree that's growing, but it's just a little confusing.
Yeah,
like I don't need
I guess
that.
now that you mentioned that, yeah.
So, but it just doesn't need to be there. We can just stop it.
We all know what happens.
Yeah, I don't need to like tie it into Fury Road so perfectly. But anyway.
Anyways, moral of the story. I enjoyed it. I thought the action scenes were really well done. I wish there would have been a little bit more story development with Furiosa.
Yeah,
I felt like that was lacking a little bit. But,
yeah, totally.
But overall, I enjoyed it.
Okay, cool. Let's do another trivia question. Dan, you want to throw yours out there?
So, Furiosa and pretty much all of the Mad Max films have been filmed in Australia. Furiosa was filmed in New South Wales. But Fury Road wasn't predominantly filmed in Australia because there was record rainfalls that transformed the normally arid desert areas into lush green growth areas.
Really?
So my question is, where was Fury Road predominantly filmed in Africa? Because I went to Africa to film. Okay. And I have four choices. Kenya, Namibia, Botswana, South Africa.
All right.
Which African country did they predominantly film Fury Road in? I thought that was interesting, though.
That's the reason.
That there was record rainfall, and they're like,
your movies takes place in the desert.
Yeah. I mean, it is interesting because especially the original ones are very Australian films. Yeah. They're keeping their accents. This Australian filmmaker. So it's like a big part of it. Yeah. So for them not to shoot,
kind of a bummer. Yeah, it's like, we got to go somewhere else.
Actors are Australian too. Why did Anya Taylor-Joy not put on an Australian accent?
Probably.
Great question.
That's a tricky area to go down. You're probably not going to make that work, but maybe.
I don't know. Australians put on American accents all the time.
It's true.
Work the other way.
That's true. Yeah. Okay, that's next quick trivia question. Now we're just gonna kind of like dive a little bit deeper into a couple of these, but not nothing too deep, but a little bit deep. You want to start with yours?
Yeah, I can go for it. I wanted to talk a little bit about so Fury Road came out 9 years ago, and Furiosa, just given like the time difference between the two movies, I wanted to talk a little bit about the CGI in Furiosa versus Fury Road, and because like there's been technology advancements throughout, like since Fury Road came out, it's a much different movie. Like how they approach production, how they approach even the editing style is a little bit different. There's a different cinematographer too. So I just want to talk about like some of the differences in the two movies. The biggest one off the bat is Fury Road. Even though they had to film in a different country, so it wasn't in Australia, Fury Road actually has a lot more practical effects.
Yeah, I remember that was
more
like
practical cinematography.
That was the selling point, or the big thing was like they said everything was done practically, or the majority of what they did.
Right, and obviously like the style itself is very stylized, but both movies are very much similar style. But I thought that was interesting is that Furiosa has a ton more CGI in it compared to
I was watching it and I was like, this doesn't feel like, from what I have seen from Fury Road, I'm like, this doesn't feel like the same level as Fury Road. And actually,
and I agree.
I thought the CGI in Furiosa like pulled me out a little bit. And like all of this transition and some of the like editing, like they kept punching in and out, doing like weird shit with that. So
I felt this. I did feel the same way. And I think my take on CGI is usually if it doesn't distract me, then I don't have a problem with it. But once it starts distracting me, then I'm like, could we have done this practically? And there was like a couple things, like the fire when like somebody has fire on their back, and I was just like, that does not look real
like
at
they're on
all.
fire.
And I'm just like, it's not that hard to put fire on a stunt person. Like that's literally what their job is. So I was surprised by that. I wrote down something with the horse. I don't remember what that was.
What it was,
Yeah, but it works well when it's like a wide shot and you just see small people. Yeah. But then once you get close to people in their CGI, and it's just like, oh my god,
it starts to just feel off, right?
Yeah, I felt the same thing.
And that's what I was noticing as I was watching it, and I kind of did a little bit more research into like why that's the case. And really, what it comes down to is this movie has like 20,000 CGI enhancements in it versus Fury Road had 2,000. So Fury Road, a lot of their on-location stuff that they did on Fury Road, you're seeing what they were filming. In Furiosa, they're like changing out the backgrounds. They're changing everything in every shot. There's CGI like enhancements in everything. And so that kind of like over time starts to pull you out of the, I feel like it starts to pull you out of the movie a little bit because everything is fake.
I mean, and not everything. I mean, the cars and the vehicles are all
real,
right?
Yeah, but the backgrounds are always different.
Yeah.
Also, the frame rate they shot this one at 48 frames per second. I don't think they filmed Fury Road at the same frame rate. It sounded like, just looking at like what the director and cinematographer were hoping to do with this one, they were hoping to shoot it at 48 to be able to do more like time remapping and be able to like go in and really enhance and change things.
They just wanted more frames.
They wanted more frames to work with.
Now that you say that,
and I feel like that just feels different too. It's less cinematic feeling. I feel like everything's just crisper.
Thinking back, like the first scenes when they're like in the green area, I remember feeling like this feels shot differently, but I didn't pinpoint what that was. And
that is, I think, the biggest thing. I mean, if you remember, like when The Hobbit came out, The Hobbit played in 48 frames per second. I don't know if you saw it in the theater that way.
I don't think I did see it.
I did, and it's like it just feels so much different.
I hated it.
I feel like they did a better job with this one, or they're able to blend it a little bit more. But if you go back and watch Fury Road, like Fury Road is very
so
gritty.
they played it back in 48 frames, or did they play it back in 24?
They didn't, but it's still like, because of the frame rate and the shutter speed they were filming out in camera, everything's just a little bit crisper.
Yeah. Huh.
And partly like cameras have changed over over 9 years, but also like just it is a stylistic choice, and they wanted to be able to like slow down time if they needed to and just do more with time remapping in the edit.
Do you know what they shot? What camera they shot?
I don't actually. Okay. I'm going to look that up.
It'd be interesting if they shot film back in 2015. And
versus digital
this time.
Maybe.
Yeah. I actually don't know that. I'd have to look that up.
Because I assume they would have done film back in like 2014, 2013. It was still more of the predominant.
Yeah.
I don't think it was predominant back now. I mean, film is way too expensive.
They're starting to film digital.
2014?
Yeah, they didn't do film. I mean, people like the really good like directors that can do whatever they want shoot on film.
Like Tarantino's like, I'm not going to shoot digital.
Nobody else shoots on. No.
I want to look that up.
Yeah, look that. No, for sure.
It would be interesting to see. But I think that was one of the big things that made this film just feel different than Fury Road, for me at least. Like I was noticing it, I was like, why does this feel different?
Yeah.
And that was a big part. Another thing that I thought was interesting just looking into the CGI was their use of AI. They used quite a bit of AI in the film, especially deepfake technology for a couple of the actors in the film. So there was the bullet farmer in the film.
Yeah.
I don't know if you remember seeing him in the movie, but he was completely deepfake because the actor has passed away since Fury Road. Yeah, so he's passed away. Like his whole character was deepfake, which is crazy because I didn't notice.
I did not notice at all. I just liked his hat.
And I usually, I know, right? I usually notice that kind of thing, like, or I have in the past in movies. Like I looked back at it, it's like, wait, what?
That's crazy.
Yeah.
So that was kind of cool. It's like it wasn't noticeable. Like it's gotten to the point where they can do that and just get away with it. Just looking into it more, apparently what they did, like they tried to frame him oftentimes, so his face wasn't like center of the screen. So it was a cinematography choice too, to like keep him out of focus really as much as they could, so that they could get away with it a little bit more.
Interesting.
I feel like as you get more into like a close-up shot, it becomes more apparent.
That's wild and scary.
Yeah, I know, right?
And
it's really cool and really scary.
I know. When that happens, they have to like verify with the family that they're okay with it, and like do all this stuff.
Yeah.
So I guess that's good that there's at least like some.
I thought there was a strike to prevent stuff like this.
Right. Right.
Yeah.
The other cool use of AI is with kind of the transition between younger Furiosa in the film and Anya Taylor-Joy.
Yeah.
So they used AI to kind of replace the younger actress's face with Anya Taylor-Joy. Yep.
I was wondering how they got such similar looking actresses.
Yeah, it's because they replaced her face, and they didn't just replace the face; they like slowly replaced it over time. So at the very beginning of the film, it is completely the original actress. I think her name's Aliyah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, some Aliyah Brown.
Yep.
They completely replace, like at the beginning of the movie, it's her, and then as her scenes go on, they like slowly replace her face with parts of Anya.
Really?
That's cool.
To make the transition work a little bit more effective. And then when you first see Anya, they did the opposite. So then they put the original actress's face on her.
See,
and then slowly they transitioned to her face.
I think I'm against that.
Really?
I don't think that's necessary.
Yeah.
It does not bother me in a movie when there's a flashback of an actor that
looks slightly
doesn't
different.
look perfectly. That doesn't bother me.
Yeah, but that's one of those like hidden VFX things that doesn't call any attention to itself, because I don't think any of us would have realized that when we were watching.
But we all thought, oh wow, she looks really like her.
It's really similar.
So
yeah,
I don't know. I think something like that is one of the good uses, where it doesn't feel blatantly obvious.
That actress will probably like now when she gets roles, people won't know what she actually looks like because her face is not
wasn't in the
what
film.
it looks like in the film.
That's what I was thinking too. Like I felt bad for her.
Yeah.
It's like her face gets completely
I
replaced.
guess I'm not against it. I think it's unnecessary.
Sure.
I don't think that's enough.
Sure. And the amount of money they spent,
Right.
who knows? Like it was probably a lot.
Yeah, they probably could have saved $8 million to break even on their film.
Yeah. So I found it interesting, but I'm with you. Like I'm unsure about like was that actually necessary or not. I don't know. Like it's interesting that I didn't notice it. Like again, that's the scariest part to me, and the coolest is that it's becoming so good that it's less noticeable.
I mean, we're just at the forefront of this technology, so like think about in 10 years what they're going to be doing. They're going to be, I mean, I don't know what they're going to be doing, but it's interesting.
So those were my big takeaways. The last thing I had is just they used Unreal Engine in the pre-visualization, which I thought was kind of interesting. So I was looking more into it, and in 2021 they were kind of like in pre-pro on this, and they were like the stunt coordinator was and George Miller like works with this action director as well, and they were like working together to kind of choreograph the big like truck chase scenes in the film. And what's cool is they have technology now where they can like bring in their stunt people and they all have mocap suits, and so as they're planning out the scenes, they're capturing all the information of the stunt people as they're doing like rehearsals. And so all that information they can bring into Unreal Engine, they can bring in different sets. They work with the production designer and that whole team to kind of bring in basically everything that they're actually like planning to do live.
Interesting.
And they can plan out everything. They can bring in the cameras, they can bring in like camera cranes and plan out everything in Unreal. Which I thought was really cool.
And for those who don't know, Unreal Engine is 3D software that they use for like designing video games and such, but also use for virtual production.
Yeah, and the coolest thing about Unreal is just it's real time, right? So they have all that information. They can make any sort of changes, and it's all real time. So once they get to set, if they need to change something, they can still see it in previs and kind of plan accordingly.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Going back to face replacements, did they use CGI on Chris Hemsworth's nose, or
No,
was that a
that's a
prosthetic?
practical.
Was it practical?
Yeah.
I don't remember.
I think I saw videos of them like putting it on there.
Oh, okay.
But yeah, we didn't talk about the nose. Yeah.
They did a good job
Did
with
you
the
like the
nose.
nose, or did you not like the nose?
It didn't bother
not
me.
opposed to it.
I like the nose because it didn't look like him. I saw him. I was like, is
took
that
me a
him?
minute. Yeah, it took me a minute to realize.
Right.
Which was the opposite effect of the trailer, where I was like, oh yeah, that's Chris Hemsworth. So yeah, I think that worked. Anything else? Or?
Oh, you know what? So I wrote a note when I was watching the movie. I said, why does Anya look like CGI at the end when standing over
Interesting.
Hemsworth?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And maybe it's because they started transitioning her face to.
So it was actually her.
Yeah, right.
It's the
first time we're seeing her face.
So it
maybe
looked
like fully of her own.
Possible.
It could be.
Because I did notice at the very end, I'm like, that something looks off about her
it
face.
could be.
Yeah, I felt like I thought that about. I don't remember if it was Scrotus or Rictus, but one of those guys. I felt like,
and they may have been doing some enhancements. That just finally, like the like main VFX supervisor on the film described the film as an animated film.
Yeah, well, they actually were initially going to do an animated.
Were they? Okay.
Yeah, like the intent for Furiosa was to do an animated film.
Yeah.
And then I don't remember.
They want to do an anime,
and I don't remember what caused the transition of like just the success from Fury Road. They're like, okay, let's do this live action.
Yeah,
because George Miller had like Furiosa written out before Fury Road had been like created. Right. Like he basically had written out this whole story and all these backstories and built. He spent like 15 years. I think I read building out the lore and all these different side stories and things like that before Fury Road came out.
And I don't know if you saw this, but they made a comic book out of that after Fury Road, which is kind of the inspiration for this movie. I think something like that. But
yeah, but it was like it's an animated film with practical elements.
Yeah, interesting.
So like there was
like
quite a bit that was
from the other one,
quite a bit different.
Yeah, cool. But I think that was good. I'm not going to do my deep dive just to keep this moving forward. But let's do my trivia question, and then we can get on to our ratings of the movie. So my trivia question is: Anya Taylor-Joy has played many different types of characters, including a princess, a chess champion, and a superhero. What was the name of the X-Men superhero she plays in a film released in 2020? And if
X-Men released a film in 2020,
they did. Really? Looks like Jared might know because he's writing it down. So I'm not going to give multiple choice.
No, I will not know.
I have no idea.
You have no idea? I can do multiple. You wrote it down, so I thought
I was like writing down names of X-Men movies.
X-Men. Yeah. Okay, I'll do multiple choice because this one's a little trickier. If you're a superhero fan, you probably know it. But okay, so Magic, Jubilee, or Kitty Pryde. Those are all X-Men characters.
Any of them? Wow.
You're not an X-Men.
Say that one more time.
Magic, Jubilee, or Kitty Pryde. They're a little more obscure. Well, some of them are a little more obscure. I mean, they're they're not super obscure, but they're a little bit more obscure. They're not your Jean Greys and other things like that. But okay, so that's that.
What was your topic? Just like
I just wanted to
dive deep, but I'm curious.
I know, but
yeah,
I just wanted to talk about our opinions on like just purely action films and I guess I was curious because like thinking back when I was younger or like in high school, I loved them, but now I'm like, okay, I need a little bit more because I've just seen so many of them.
Yeah,
need a little bit more. Yeah, like characters or story. I do feel like this one again for me. It has a little bit more, which is the world and the stunts are cool and stuff. But so this is a little beyond just like a normal action film. But yeah, I don't know. I don't really seek out just pure action films anymore, even though they do make them. Yeah. They're kind of like just Netflix streamable films now. Yeah. Like they don't really.
I mean, you'd consider like Mission Impossible, James Bond. Like
yes.
For me, that's more of the action film. Maybe because I grew up with that. Like when I think about Furiosa and Fury Road, like this kind of action film just doesn't appeal to me because I think it just feels too out of this world and unrealistic. Like I enjoy the action films that are somewhat based in reality.
Sure.
But
you really love Dune. It's not really. It's more of a sci-fi.
Yeah, Dune is more of a sci-fi film.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah,
that's true.
Dune is way more than an action film in terms of just like complexity and all of that stuff.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
Right.
Yeah, but to your point, I agree with you. Like, I guess for me, action films do less and less for me. And it's something that I don't necessarily seek out if I want to go to a movie. It's more of a like, what are we going to watch, on the weekend?
Yeah.
And it's like, okay, well, I don't want to think too hard.
Yeah.
I just want to have some fun.
Yeah. Yeah, so. I do have a sweet spot for James Bond movies for some reason. I just love James Bond movies. But yeah, like Fast and Furious, I don't care about Fast and Furious anymore. Yeah. Even Mission Impossible, I used to like Mission Impossible a lot, but
maybe
I don't watch
it
anymore.
Yeah, maybe what it is just like the action movies that like are so popular. There's so many of them now.
Yeah,
like they just kept making them,
and they're just doing the same
thing.
Yeah, that's
like Fast. I can't like Fast and Furious. I can't remember like specific things that happen in each of those movies because they all just kind of blend together.
Yeah. Listen, the originals were not bad.
The originals were good.
I really liked the originals.
Yeah.
It's once they started getting crazy, like dragging bank vaults through skyscrapers and like going to the moon.
We already did all this other stuff. What do we need? What can we do now?
Yeah.
Where it just becomes so impractical and unbelievable that
they went to the moon in one of those.
Yes,
that's what I'm talking about.
They went to the moon.
Yeah. Just like everyone, you gotta do something.
Yeah. It just is like, okay, the person who wrote this, like, I don't know, didn't have. Maybe that you could argue that they have a lot of creativity, but maybe I just am like, you had to write something like so impractical like that.
Totally.
Yeah, I think for me, like I enjoy action movies still. Depending on like what it is, like if it's a Netflix movie, I'm probably not gonna watch it.
Yeah, totally.
Like and they just kind of become so generic where there's just no story going on at all.
Yeah.
If it's like a bigger film like James Bond or like Top Gun, like those are movies like I'm gonna go see in the theater just because like seeing it in that environment, seeing that kind of film, like it's just a whole different experience.
I wish I would have watched Top Gun Maverick in theater because it was out on IMAX.
Yeah,
right?
that's what brought people back to the theater after COVID.
Mm-hmm. Now they're
not again.
And Dune is a revival. Dune Part 2 is
I mean, that's true. Okay, cool. Then let's move on to ratings. I want to say I do star ratings in 5 because I use a site called Letterboxd, which I can just log all the films I watch and put. So they do 5, so that's why I do 5.
Sure.
So I think that if you guys are okay with that,
sure,
because you can convert your 10 to 5 pretty easily. Why don't we?
Should I start?
Yeah, Jared, why don't you?
All right, I'll give it a 4 out of 5.
Okay,
for me,
4 out of 5.
4 out of 5. Mad Max was a 5 out of 5. Mm-hmm. I'd give it a 4.
See, this is the hard part about 5 is removes a level of nuance for me because 5 out of 5 is like if the
best of the best.
Rarely would I give a film 10 out of 10.
Sure.
5 out of 5 seems easier to give out than 10 out of 10.
5 out of 5 to me is just like your all-time favorites. Like it can't be unachievable. It can't be like 1-5 film.
True, you're right. Maybe this 5 approach makes it easier to give out high. Okay, all right.
As far as overall enjoyment, I give it a 4. Mainly, and I think a big part of that is because of Fury Road. Mm-hmm. So there was a lot of story beats in this film where I was like waiting for things to happen to explain certain things in Fury Road, and that was satisfying to me.
Right. Okay, you like that part.
I like that part of the movie.
Okay, cool.
It kept my interest in, and also like just like being an editor, all the CGI and editing techniques were interesting to me throughout.
Mm-hmm. Okay, Dan, let's throw it to you. I'm really curious.
Yeah, I'm curious too.
I'd probably give it a 2 or 2.5.
Okay.
That's bad.
So you see, because this is where I'm like, if I gave it a 5 out of 10, it's just an average film.
Sure.
Yes.
And I would probably say 2.5.
So below average.
No, 2.5 is average.
Oh, you said 2.5. Okay. Yeah.
Sorry. I'm saying, I'm going to say 2.5 out of 5. I don't enjoy it as a film because I just, the genre or the style in the world doesn't appeal to me that much.
Yeah.
It wasn't a bad movie, but I didn't think it was a good movie. It didn't really bring me in at all. There were some fun scenes, the parasailing was epic.
Yeah.
And paragliding, I thought that was amazing.
Yeah.
And the kit bashing of that semi-truck was really cool.
Yeah.
But, and also I really liked Chris Hemsworth. I thought his character was, he did a great job playing that role, and he hasn't quite done a role in this style before.
Yeah.
And I thought he brought like some good comedic relief with his character.
Yeah.
But yeah, 2.5 out of 5.
Yeah, I was getting, not to go deeper into this, but when I was watching his character, I was thinking like a mix between like Jack Sparrow.
Yeah,
he's kind of like, he thinks he's so good and then he just screws things up. And a mix between like a little bit of the Joker because he like doesn't care. He'll like kill anybody. Right. But that was the vibe.
I thought Jack Sparrow too when I was watching.
Yeah. It's good. It's really good. This one's interesting. I have to go with my gut of what I thought right after the film because I'm a little bit removed.
Yeah.
The more I think about it, I think I like it a little less, but I still there's something about it that I'm just like, I want to go back into this world and see what it's all about, kind of like what you're saying.
Yeah.
So I'm going 4.5 stars.
4.5?
4.5.
I don't know.
That
It's
is
weird.
high.
It's I know. Like
That's
I said,
a 9 out of 10.
I really like it, even though all the things I don't like, they don't deter it that much for me because I know what it is. I don't know.
I'm just more of a critic without the film critic knowledge.
It's possible that it's a 4, but I don't know. There's something about it nostalgic about it that I'm just like, I want to go revisit this.
I mean, not many movies are doing that level of world building, right?
Yeah,
that's kind of the cool thing too. Just all the little details that are just there.
Yeah,
that make it interesting.
Well, and I really liked. In Fury Road, they kind of just show you the stuff and you have no idea what's going on.
Yeah.
This one really answers the question of what is this?
Yeah,
town?
That's what made it interesting to me.
Yeah.
I will say that was intriguing. Their different setups and how different towns kind of play fundamental roles in society, and it's all based around. I will say, once I left the theater, I thought I was gonna smell like gasoline.
Right.
But funny. Now we want to do just a little bit of a movie shout out. So again, this is just so we can talk about other movies that we like, other than just the main one, just to get a little bit more variety. I can start this to kind of show you guys how it works, but yeah, so one movie that I love to shout out to people is a movie called In Bruges. Have you seen it?
Haven't seen it.
I've not seen it.
Perfect.
I've seen clips of it.
Okay.
Haven't seen the full
In
movie.
Bruges. So I wanted to shout this out because I just got back from Europe, as you guys know. So we went to Bruges, and it was cool to kind of like pick out, like find all the movie spots and where they film things because it was all shot in the actual country. So this movie is directed by Martin McDonagh. So he's done some other stuff, like it was like what's the one, like 3 Billboards Outside of Ebbing, Missouri.
Oh, yeah.
I think that was like an Oscar-nominated one.
Yeah, it was a great one.
Seven Psychopaths is another one that's really good. If you heard of that one, so he's kind of like a Guy Ritchie, where he's like a British director, where he's kind of more like indie films, and but that's kind of the vibe. So this film is a dark comedy, which is kind of not typical of something I like, but it works really well. So it's got Colin Farrell in it, and it's got a bunch of Harry Potter people. So Mad Eye Moody and Voldemort is in it, and then Fleur Delacour, if you know Harry Potter.
Yeah.
So it's basically, the idea is Colin Farrell and Mad Eye Moody, which I don't remember. I don't know the actor's real name, so I apologize. But they're like assassins. There's like hitmen or something, and Colin Farrell's character accidentally kills a child in one of his hits. Is like completely accidental. So they basically have to go to Bruges to kind of like hide out, just because so things don't like. For the fallout of that. So the idea is that their boss kind of sends them to Bruges because it's this beautiful place, and it's got like swans and like old cobblestone walkways. It's just beautiful. So he sends them there, but doesn't tell them why. And the idea is a little bit of a spoiler, but he wants the other guy to kill Colin Farrell for what he did. And he wants his last days to kind of be happy. But the twist is Colin Farrell hates it, and he's like super depressed. He's like, I hate all these things. He's like making fun of the tourists, and he's not having a good time at all. So it takes a twist. And
Did you give us a spoiler there?
Yeah, but it's okay. It's fine. It's hard to know the movie if I don't say that part.
Right,
but
fair enough.
But anyway, the writing's really, really good. It's really funny. I will say the jokes are not really politically correct, so if you're not into that, then you probably don't like it. But yeah, it's really good writing, really creative, and it's just an underrated film that nobody talks about, and the acting's really good. And there's just a lot of stuff about like mental illness and depression and things that I think are actually powerful to watch. So So anyway, that's my shout out, In Bruges. And I always say that's like my second favorite movie.
Yeah.
So that under The Godfather. Yeah.
Wow.
So worth the watch.
Yeah.
Yeah, go ahead. Jared, you got yours?
I've got a movie shout out too. It's kind of similar to yours, where it's more obscure and people haven't really heard it. So I do like to shout out this one. But it's a film called Coherence. Have either of you seen Coherence?
No, I have not seen that.
All right.
Okay.
It's from like 2013, 2014. It's a sci-fi film. It's an indie film. So that's partly why people haven't really heard about it as much, as it played in a few film festivals. It was bought by Amazon, I believe, and Amazon distributed it. But it's an indie sci-fi. There's a huge twist in the film. I don't want to give it away, but just the plot setup and the fact that like it was very low budget and the way they were able to kind of use one location in the whole movie just worked really effectively. And it's a creepy film. Like it's scary, and the concept's just very interesting for a sci-fi film. I don't want to give too much more away beyond that, but if you haven't seen it, definitely recommend checking it out.
Interesting. Right. Coherence. Okay. I like it.
Nice. Well, I don't have a movie shout out, but I have a TV shout out because lately I've been watching more TV series than I have movies. But Acapulco on Apple TV is just, it has the only famous actor is like this Mexican actor. It's Enrique. I can't remember his full name, but super famous, like Mexican sitcom actor and just like actor in general. But it is just a feel good, like cute comedy set back in like the 80s in Acapulco, when like it was the spot to be in, when all the celebrities were going there. And like it was Cancun back in the 80s, essentially, although better than Cancun, because Cancun's not that great.
Okay.
But like it's cheesy, and sometimes the acting is a little bit cheesy, but it's just one of those things where you get invested in the characters. And like every episode's is just 30 minutes long. Every episode kind of has its own little story or thing that's happening. It's kind of like a sitcom, but not quite like a sitcom, but in terms of structure wise, and it all threads together. But it's just it's really fun, and it's a feel good one. Jessica didn't like it a whole lot because she thought it was too cheesy. But I said, you just didn't watch long enough. But yeah, I don't know. I have really enjoyed that, and it's also fun because with Jessica being Mexican, like there's a lot of just fun little things where I'm like, oh, that's just like her family. Like some of the things that happen, it's just, you know, you do get kind of a good sense for just kind of that Mexican culture, like family culture, and some of the funny little quirks and things that are happening with the families that are in there in the dynamics. So it's a good show. Highly recommend.
You want to give a shout out to Jessica so the audience knows?
Yeah, Jessica's my wife. Jessica is my wife, not just a random person.
Yeah, there you go. I like it. Cool. That's cool because I hadn't seen either of those, so that'll
none of us had seen the other people's movies.
Yeah.
Okay. Now we got more to watch.
Perfect. Yeah, that never-ending list of things to watch. Okay, let's go to trivia answers.
All right,
Jared, did you do yours first?
Are we guessing or?
I want to hear what. Okay, so let's start with Jared's. Yeah.
Yep.
And then we'll say our answer.
All right. So, which Furiosa actor didn't have a driver's license?
I
know it's Anya just because I watched some behind the scenes. I wouldn't have known that otherwise.
Yeah, that's crazy that she had never driven. Right. It wasn't just
really?
It wasn't just she didn't have a driver's license. She had never driven a vehicle until this movie.
So she was actually driving in the movie?
Yeah, she learned how to drive for this movie. Granted, she wasn't doing like all the driving scenes. Yeah. But after this film, she was really excited and she wanted to get her driver's license and all of that. But yeah, that was very interesting.
I mean, I guess maybe you don't need a driver if you're like a famous actress. Right. Just have somebody drive you around.
Right.
Is she European? Where is she from?
I think... I thought she was British, but I could, somebody fact check us. I don't know.
All right. So my question was, where was Fury Road primarily filmed in Africa? What did you guys say?
I had no idea.
Multiple choice again?
You guys didn't write it down?
I wrote down mine.
Did you write yours down? Oh, it was Kenya, Namibia, Botswana, South Africa.
I guess Botswana. I don't know.
Kenya.
Namibia.
Yep. All right.
There were some scenes filmed in Australia for Fury Road, but the majority was in,
it's too green.
was in Namibia. Yeah.
Gotcha. And then mine was basically what superhero did Anya play in what was it, 2020?
Yeah, the 2020
X-Men movie.
film. I put Kitty Pryde.
Okay.
I'll just say Jubilee to be different.
The answer is magic. There's a X-Men. So it's New Mutants.
Okay.
It's kind of like a spin-off of X-Men, so it wasn't like an X-Men main movie.
Oh.
But yeah, Magic is actually a really cool character. She's kind of like she kind of like goes to like the underworld or like limbo, and she's kind of like I don't know. Anyway, it was a terrible movie, I will say, but I like the New Mutants when I read comics, and I like the characters and stuff.
Yeah.
But I mean, she was probably the best thing about that movie, I would think. So that's that.
Cool.
Yeah, and I mean, I think that's pretty much it.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Well, thanks for listening, everyone. We're going to be doing this on a monthly basis.
Yeah.
New movie every month. So
Yeah. Not sure what's next. We have some things in line, but
was Joker next?
no, I think that's later. Later.
Oh, that's
We'll have
Yeah,
to.
we'll have to look
figure
at
that
the
out,
movie
but-
schedules.
okay.
But yeah.
All right.
Yep. Thanks for watching, listening, whatever you're doing.
All right.
All right. Thank you.